Full-time work does not even cover the basics. We should be asking that question more. Why doesn't full-time work cover the basics? Why is it that we're working harder than ever and still falling farther behind? It didn't used to be this way. It was not like this for the previous generation. I remember being a kid and being like, oh, I can't wait till I'm an adult because I never thought that I would not be able to afford food and housing, that it would be difficult, that people would be choosing between the doctor and the electric bill. I don't ever remember my parents putting off the basics to cover the basics. That's really where they've normalized this pressure, where we're all one step away from financial ruin. We don't have enough money and they blame us, even though it's not our fault. Because if we are working 40 hours a week, especially for a successful company, we should have enough to live. Because a job is not charity. A job makes money for the people that offered that job. And if you are making somebody else rich, if you are making somebody else money, the least they can do is make sure that you have food. At least they can make sure that you have housing and health care. Because yeah, money doesn't buy happiness, but it does buy food. It does buy housing. It does buy health care. So money doesn't buy happiness, but it sure as hell keeps you from being unhappy. Because try being happy when you're starving. Try being happy when you're unhoused in the winter. It makes things difficult. So we have to understand that why is it when we bust our ass, we see the profit of the company go up and up. Y'all, we've seen the stock market go up for decades. But the salaries have stayed the same. The economy doesn't work for us, it works against us, which is crazy because we are the economy. All the economy is a bunch of companies, and all companies is a bunch of people like you and me busting our ass. I used to talk to my dad about this all the time, like, Pops, you're the most important guy on the job site, not the asshole sitting in the truck collecting all the money, because you're the one that is actually fixing the part of the machine that is crucial. Oh, our space, yeah, the blackout is a first step to get people to recognize. That's all. The majority of people don't even realize what the problem is because the media lies to us. Because corporations have always been in control. It just is we had just enough options to keep them honest. But over the last 40 or 50 years, the corporations have collapsed all competition. So there is no competition to even keep them honest. So because there is no competition to keep them honest, they try to dominate everything. And for the most part, they have dominated everything because not only did they take over the economy, they took over the other two very important pillars of power in our society, which is, yeah, they control the economy, but they also control the media and they also control the political process. Our space, you're just a little bit behind here because we've built quite a bit. So what we're talking about is that full-time work doesn't cover the basics anymore. I mean, I'm not here to prove anything to you. It's just that we have been doing this for a long time. And we've got a lot of people that are a part of this. So what we are doing now is we are forming. So basically, yeah, we're done. So that's the question that we are asking is why is it that the majority of Americans are working harder than ever and still falling farther behind? That's the question that we want to get to the bottom of, because we are so screwed over financially that it boxes us in politically. And what we have to do is understand that the economy is just one aspect of this, that we've got to start taking over the media, taking back the media and the political process, because the media no longer works for people, it works for profit. And think, even if they had taken over the economy where there was absolutely no competition, the lack of competition led to the lower salaries. They've led the salaries to stagnate. Then over the last decade, the cost of living has clicked up. And now the cost of living and our salaries are close to the same. And then when we point out that, hey, our cost of living and our salary is the same, they blame us. They tell us it's our fault. Even though, like, hey, we're working 40 hours a week for a successful company. What more do you want us to do? All jobs that are offered should cover the cost of living. It should be twice as much as the cost of living, because that's how you provide people with security. And that's the point of a society. That's what people have forgotten, is to ask themselves, what is the point of a society? Well, the point of a society is so that as many people as possible can achieve security or freedom or happiness or anything that you want to do. So the majority of people don't have any savings. Because we don't have any savings, you're one step away from financial ruin. Not everybody's in financial ruin. If we are, then this would be a lot easier because we'd have as many people ready to push back. But they keep us one step from financial ruin. They keep us barely hanging on to the lifeboat that keeps us afloat, that keeps us alive. Because they know that, oh yeah, you can take a chance and let go of that lifeboat and go underwater and just hope that one of those passing lifeboats pick you up. But that's why so many people stay in their crappy jobs for so long, because that crappy job gives them just enough to live. And yeah, they could leave and go somewhere else, but what if that new destination doesn't give them enough? What if that new destination is even more of a jerk? Because shoot, I don't have any freedom because I don't have any choices. Because my boss knows that I depend on them for all of my food and all of my health care. So my boss knows they can manipulate me. Hey, I know it's your kid's birthday tomorrow, but I need you to come into work. Oh, boss, I can't. I told you. I don't care. You come in tomorrow or you're fired. Well, if you're 1 week away from being homeless, if you're 1 week away from not having food, guess what? You're going to go into that job. And what I just illustrated is what so many Americans are experiencing every single day. That's what it is. And the person that is serving the French fries, they should have enough money to cover housing and healthcare. Because if that person serving the French fries isn't getting paid enough by the multi-billion-dollar corporation that is employing them, guess what happens, user? Does that person just magically not have to eat food? Does that person just magically not have to get health care? Does that person just magically not have to afford housing? Or do they go on public assistance that your ass pays for? Take the next step, y'all. We blame the individual for not making enough money, but it's the corporation's problem. They know how much they're offering. They're just not going to offer 1 penny more than they have to, even if it means that those employees have to go on medical assistance, on housing assistance, and on food assistance. So it's actually you that are the problem, because you haven't asked the question, damn, if somebody is serving the French fries at McDonald's and they aren't making enough to live, what happens? Can you just be smart enough to ask that one question? If somebody is working at Walmart and they don't make enough to live, what happens? Oklahoma, hilarious, love it. That's what happens. That person can't afford housing because McDonald's won't pay them enough. So they don't just go and live on the street. We all pay more taxes so that they have a house to live in. Now multiply that times 10 million with every single McDonald's employee, every single Walmart employee. Majority of employees that make under $15 an hour are not making enough to live. So all of those employees have to go on public assistance. Walmart has classes that teach their employees how to file for public assistance. So they know what they're doing. They are just so certain that people like User will stand up for the very same corporations that are screwing them over, that they've gone mask off, that they've gone full out. Because they know that some person with a couple hundred or a couple $1,000 in their bank account will step up and defend the billionaire and defend the corporation, because they know that if they give even the poorest person somebody else to look down on, if they make even the worst person feel like they're above somebody else, what's the quote? They'll empty their pockets for you. Or now it should be they'll vote against their own interests, because that's really what it is. We've got this portion of Americans that believe they are better than other Americans, usually for a dumb reason. And then what the ultra wealthy have figured out, this 1% of Americans have figured out, is that, dang, if just 3 million of us cooperate, we can dominate and manipulate 260 million people with a little bit of money and a little bit of asshole gusto. What it does is it's showing it says average, but really it's the median, the cost of salary versus the cost of living. So many people's cost of living is equal to or the same as their salary. So that means we don't have any savings. But hell, that's just a financial problem. How does that affect us politically? Well, the strongest thing, the most important thing that any of us have, whether it's in our job, whether it's politically, or hell, whether it's in our personal life, one of the most powerful things we can say is fix it or we are leaving. Fix it or we're leaving. You tell the roommate, hey, living with you was great for a little while, but man, now we're getting rats in the house. Fix it or I'm leaving. That's one of the most powerful things people can say. Hey, I love you, partner, but this has been too much for me. Can you fix it or I have to leave? So that's what we need to say to America, to the politicians, to the corporations. Hey, y'all have been screwing us over a long time. We are the economy. What I like to say is that the economy of America is a car that's broken down and it needs all of us to push it, right? But every time we go and push that car, the people driving it turn the wheel and run us the F over. So what we need to say is, hey, we're not pushing your car until you stop running us over. There we go. Somebody on Instagram said it. Fix it or I'm not paying. That's what it is. But you can't not buy medicine because the corporations control your medicine. You can't not buy food. The corporations control your food. You can't not buy housing. The corporations control your rent and your mortgage. So yeah, there are some things that we can just not buy. But the majority of things, the whole reason the corporations have taken over commodities, so commodities are things we can't live without. Commodities are things we can't live without. So corporations were like, oh, we want to charge people more and more profit. If we just try to raise the prices of radios and raise the prices of cowboy hats and raise the prices of tape, we will never get as much profit because people will just stop buying those things. But what if we raise the price of food? People still have to buy food. Oh, and that means we make more money. They have to pay us. And then they say, well, if just my corporation raises the price of food, then people will go to the other corporations. So they call up their other buddies and are like, hey, let's all raise our prices a couple dollars, right? I think we all know. Y'all, let's get some me's in the chat, because damn, steals from Simone, we know that ain't the truth, because 60 grand is barely $3,300 a month, $3,500 a month. So let's say $1,500 for rent or housing. Boom, that's half your monthly right there. $1,500 gone to rent. Let's do small. I'm not saying that you're wrong, Bren. I'm trying to show you what it is actually like. So how many people do you pay rent? How many people don't have a mortgage payment or rent? You are very privileged if you don't have to pay for your housing. So the fact that you don't pay for your housing, yet you come in here kind of lying, very much misrepresenting. I make 60 grand with the family of 4. But you didn't say, so how did you make 60 grand and have a paid off home? It sounds to me like somebody else paid off that home, right? So, and that's where everybody, just be clear. I will intentionally not respond to the little PP down there. But Bren came in. Well, there you go. That's great, Bren. But that's still impressive you were able to pay that off at 60 grand a year. There you go, director. That's where, director, join us. You're exactly the kind of person. We're breaking out by state. We're starting groups that, but did you make it? Have you been making 60 grand for 15 years? Well, that's what I'm saying. Just the fact that you could, I do not know how you bought a house making less than 60 grand a year. I'm going to guess you're in a pretty rural area, because holy cow, that's low. That's around when I bought my first house, and it was still like 40 grand down. So, but that's really what has changed, is that from 2000 to 2010, 2015. But what I think you can deny, Bren, is that your situation is incredibly an outlier. How many people that worked fast food jobs had 2 incomes where you could both work, pay for a down payment, get a fixer-upper, and then I'm really impressed that you paid off your entire mortgage in 14 years at 60 grand a year. So where it's like, I don't know how much the facts actually fit with it, but to each his own, right? So what we need to understand is that we don't have any money by design. We don't have any money because the most important thing that we can do is say, screw this, we're not participating, right? Screw this, we're not participating. Because we can only do that if we've got 3 months or 6 months. I know, fella, right? If we've got 3 months or 6 months worth of savings. But the corporations and the politicians are working together to make sure we don't have savings, right? The corporations and politicians have worked together to make sure that we don't have savings, because it's the most powerful thing we can do politically, and it's the most powerful thing we can do economically. Your local politician hates it if you're striking because it makes them look bad. And god damn, your boss hates it if you strike because it makes them look bad. And don't tell me that this is not the solution, because they are actually telling us that this is the answer. They're literally like the Wizard of Oz, and they're like, don't look behind the curtain. There's nothing behind the curtain. That's what Starbucks is doing right now. Starbucks and all the corporations, Starbucks is terrified of a bunch of baristas and coffee makers that want to negotiate as a team. Do you realize that's what this is? Negotiating as a team. Hey, the 5 of us only make $10 an hour. We just saw a document where you're making $2 million a year. So what we're going to do is we are going to negotiate together, because every time I walk in there, you go, there's not enough money. You did this wrong and you did that wrong. And I'm not a negotiator like you. I'm not a business person like you. I'm a 22-year-old trying to work my way through college. So instead of me trying to negotiate against you, I talk to everybody else and we're all going to negotiate as a team. That's all that Starbucks workers are trying to do, and Starbucks is flipping out. Y'all, they're telling us the answer. They are so scared when we cooperate. They are so scared when we cooperate that they will do anything to try to pull us apart. That's where, have you ever wondered why the media is so all over the place? Why the hell is it that trans athletes are the number one story in our country? Why is it that immigration, that only affects like less than 5% of people, is the number one story? Why is it that they tell some people in our country that 2 + 2 = 4, but the others that 2 + 2 = 5? We don't use the R word. That's not what this is. We all want our kids to have affordable homes, and just crossing our fingers and hoping that the corporations will come to their senses is not the case, right? So, and that's where it's so funny, is that it is not working for the average person anymore, right? 3% down on a $300,000 home is still $9,000. So stop acting like that is anything, because who the hell has $9,000 to put down, especially when, oh, look, you can just get an FHA and the person that's bidding against me paid all cash. All cash for a $500,000 home? That was a goddamn corporation. How many people out there have been looking for a home or knew someone looking for a home that got outbid by an all cash offer? Over 30% of the homes sold in the first quarter of 2025 went to institutional investors. Blue, that's what this is. It's not necessarily coming together, because we're never going to get 50 million people to come together. What we are doing is we are not going to try to rationalize and give a moral argument, because people don't use corporations. People aren't stuck in this system because they sat down and thought morally about what they should do. People use this system because we have no other alternative. So what we are doing is we're stopping telling people to go find an alternative, and we're simply building that alternative. It's not going to be everything right away, but we don't need to do everything right away. What we need to do is get people excited. We need to have them compelled. We need them to feel like, oh shit. Because I am a business owner, and that when I first got my check that I made and it wasn't paid for me from a paycheck, I went, oh shit, I could get used to this. And that's what we need people to feel when we develop this new system. Because there are two ways that you can convince people. Say you're going out and you want to talk to a group of people that are in a public area. You could go and scream, the system's rigged. Come with me. We'll do a new system. The system's rigged. You're probably not going to get too many people, because you're just going at their frustration. But let's make it compelling. What if we tried this? Hey, everybody. Corporations really don't care about us. But corporations control all of our food. And corporations control all of our health care. So we know we're not going to fix it all overnight, but let's at least stop trying to rely on corporations. We are forming a food buying group. Anybody that wants to buy eggs locally, put your name here. Because we are just sick of the corporations controlling everything and telling us that there's this bird flu going around and raising the prices of eggs. Let's just all buy eggs locally. Because then look, It doesn't matter if you're on the blue team or the red team politically. Both sets of people want to hear that. So you're not starting with, oh, your ideology is bad and we should move systems. Not at all. All you're saying is, hey, corporations suck. Don't you think so? Everyone in America will say yes. And then you say, corporations suck, but damn, they control all our eggs. They control all our meat. They control all of our butter and our freaking medicine. So let's stop letting the corporations control all those things, because since they control those things, they use it to make us depend on them. It's really what it is. We are sitting here demanding change, but we have no mechanism through which we have leverage. That's what this really is. We're demanding change, but we have zero leverage. So our first step is to build some leverage. It's to build a system that gets people excited, where they don't feel like they're participating in activism, where you don't feel like you're working. It's just like, shit, I don't want to go to the corporate grocery store anyway. This group is getting me eggs, and then maybe in 3 months they'll have vegetables, and then in 6 months they'll have butchers, right? Well, we're starting in places that don't have chicken ordinances. That would be the best. So, y'all, I think everybody is feeling a little frustrated with the way things are going. And what this group has 3 goals. Number 1, it's to get people to realize that greed is the disease. To get people to understand that one of the main issues we have is that some people think it's an earache, some people think it's a nose problem, some people think it's a back problem, and some people think it's a congenital heart disease. So we all go towards a different solution. We all go towards a different cure. So if all of us are going towards a different cure, oh yeah, greed in politics, that's what I meant. So if we're all going towards a different cure, we are not agreed on what the disease is. Because some people think it's foreign influence. Some people think it's immigrants. Some people think it's climate change or corporations or the system itself. But it's not. There's not 1,000 different issues. There is literally one issue, and it's causing all the rest of them. And the issue is greed. We used to have guardrails against greed. So what we are doing is we are getting everyone on the same page to recognize that greed is the disease, that the first thing we're asking is just for you to change what you can. You stop shopping at any corporation. Look at your recurring purchases. Can you switch from paper towels to rags? Can you get a bidet instead of toilet paper? Can you start making your own soap? Can you find somewhere else to buy your laundry detergent that's local? Can you find a local consignment shop or buy stuff online? So we've got 3 things that we are building that are easy to build, and really they can make the facilitator money. Because all that we are looking for is because that's all the corporations are. They don't do anything. They don't do anything. I don't know what you mean, is it local? It's the only way this works. Wanting TP is not greed. What I was showing you is that the point of all this is to get people to move along their reasoning. Number 1, it's a lot of people think, oh, well, there's a lot of different problems going on in America. Well, the first job is to get them to say, no, there's one. Greed is the disease. Then if they say, oh, greed is the disease, how do I fix it? And then we gave them options of how they can fix it. Stop buying from corporations. One of the ways to do it is do that. And then the third thing, when people say, okay, I recognize that greed is the disease. I have gone out and I've cut out corporate purchases. I have cut out my streaming. I've recruited as many people as I could to be on my team. What more can I do? And that's what this is for. That's what this is for. for the people that have recognized that greed is the problem, for the people that have already done the things that they can do. They've cut out what they can cut out. They've changed what they can change. And that's really what it comes down to, Brian. That's one of the things, is recognizing that these CEOs and corporations are not evil. They are simply incentivized to screw us over. That's it. They are incentivized to screw us over in the long term so that they can make money short term. Because most of these CEOs, that is the most money they will ever make. And I think that every single one of us, if we were in a position where we knew we were only going to be in that job for 3 or 4 years, that hell, and if we saw everybody else doing it too, every single else, that we would do it too. And Duffy is the exact problem. That is exactly what I am pointing out. Because so many people are not evil. They are not bad. It's just that they look around, and if they see anybody else doing it, they can justify it. So Duffy justified it, right? The difference between greed and wealth is you. So Duffy is justifying stepping on other people, because that's not greedy. That's how you make wealth. Fuck that. Fuck that. Say it again. Fuck that. That is not the life that I want to live. I am not teaching my daughter that money is the most important thing. God. And plus, it's a stupid way to organize your society, because then people who are as smart as frickin' Einstein have to go to work based on where they're going to make money, not the contributions that they will make towards society. Boom, boom, boom. Merv is in the house. And that's how we should set up a society, so that people are able to try to go after change, to go after making a difference. Instead, every single person in America has to go to work to make money. So stupid. Because we don't give people what they need to live, their food, their housing, and healthcare, because we have been told that if we give people what they need to live, they'll be lazy. What it is that if people are given what they need to live, they contribute more to society. Kenneth, it's exactly what I've been thinking, honestly. If every state controlled, and even farther, if every state allowed their counties, if every county was in control of their community's food, of their community's housing, of their community's healthcare, well, those county commissioners would be held fucking accountable. Because when you're a county commissioner, you can't live 6 counties away. You would, no, not at all. It's really easy, actually. When people live in the community they serve, they care. When people don't live in the community that they serve, they don't care. It's not that hard. So let's make it so the people running the community care. We were even talking about this on Sunday. We have our meetings. So all somebody needs to do is do the facilitating work of getting 100 people together. Then you call the farmer and you ask, what are you going to sell for, right? So, well, that's where, Bren, you're not here to listen. Frankly, it's been frustrating, because here's what a lot of the issue is we could agree on 9 out of 10 things, but it seems like, and that's where, no, it just is like, we just don't have time. So y'all, I am here for the people that are ready to move forward. I'm not here to talk to the Brens. I'm sorry that I get caught up in it, because our brains just do this. But what we are doing, so it's not even about running for things. Join this community, find other people. But what this is we are not arguing with people who still have their head in the sand. I don't care about that. Because what we're trying to do is show people that a car is better than a horse. And if we show people a car and they sit there and they go, I like my horse better, we are not going to sit there. We're going to say that person has too much of an emotional attachment to that horse. Fuck no, Brian. What kind of a question is that? The government works for the corporations. Our taxes. You mean the corporations' money that they're going to give to them? So how can people not understand? The government doesn't work for us. Do I need to start every live with that? The government works for the people that pay their campaigns. Who the fuck pays for the government, the politicians' campaigns? It sure as hell ain't us. Because I remember being as a kid and being so fascinated by the fact that we could only give $2,000. You can only give $2,000 per individual to the candidate of your choice. No more, no less. Brian, you are way off. People remain in the system because we have no alternatives. This is the problem. People think, why do they keep voting for the taxes? Because people don't have any alternative. Yes, the only thing, this is what we're here to talk about, strikes and unions. Strikes and unions. Thank you, Jalen. That's all that matters. So it used to be that in the past, if we protested, we could get the attention of the politicians because the politicians want to get reelected and we were the ones that reelect them. Now that the corporations are the ones that reelect them, it doesn't fucking matter if we go and protest because they don't give a shit. The only thing that we have. Oh, so that's where, y'all, same thing. We don't need people who have their head in the sand. I don't give a fuck what you think, Brian. It's not about you. For all the other 66 people that are saying, yeah, this economy hasn't really worked for me or anyone that I know. Not just lately, but for a long time. The only reason we keep supporting this economy is because we don't have anything else, right? I think if every single one of us could go and buy our health insurance from our doctor instead of the insurance company, holy shit, we would. I think that if all the farmers got together and somehow offered a grocery store that was just as good as the corporate one, that we wouldn't sit there and hem and haw and go, And one of the biggest ways you can tell that people do not understand the situation is if they come in with their own personal story. That is an easy write-off. If somebody comes in and goes, oh, I'm doing just fine, write you off. Because if you're not smart enough to understand that this conversation isn't about you, but as America collectively, then we don't need you here. Jalen, please join this. Jalen, Gen Z is where my heart goes out to. Because goddamn. Duffy, now, this is where, so here's the other thing, people, we have to understand. People, once they are on your side, will then start defending the system. Duffy, yeah, all we're saying is corporations don't care about you. I haven't said a word about capitalism. All I said is corporations don't care about you. And then anytime, everybody's got to remember when somebody comes in and points fingers left or right, oh, the red team, Republicans are on my side, but those Democrats, they're terrible. Really? You think that one of them hates you, but the other one loves you? And then same to the other side. Oh, Democrats are great, but Republicans are evil. Oh, really? You think that political corporations, the worst kind of corporations, you think political corporations care about you? And so if it's crony capitalism, then why would you think that one side is better than the other? So you lost all credibility when you come in here and point fingers left or right. Because I don't care who's in charge. I've never seen the salary get raised above the cost of living. I've never seen people say, hey, y'all. Jalen, we don't normally do it, but you're nice, so let's hop you on up. Jalen, let me finish this thought and I'll get to you. Where was it? I forgot. So, Jalen, good to have you. Normally we don't pop it up, but when you come into the box and you're kind, you're throwing out ideas like that, I want to talk to you. How you doing today, Jalen?
I'm doing good. Good morning. Good afternoon.
What questions you got for me, man?
I don't know. I like the everything that you're talking about. I think this is this is the most important thing to discuss. I saw that your eyes lit up when I said something about the youth and focusing on a better future for them, and especially financially. With the comment where I said stop taxing